and gang penalties and enforcement and education and prevention measures. And I'm so excited that our county under Sheriff Christensen and Birgit Flatiger, our DA, have worked really hard with the community on that injunction. And I would love to see that expand. That's probably not going to happen before November. But I want to certainly do everything I can, both here on the City Council and later in the State Assembly, to help with those efforts, because our families need to feel safe in their communities, and our kids deserve to feel safe when they go to school. So that's a priority of mine. And then lastly, between now and November, I plan to continue to work toward incentives for job creation and economic development. And the City Council right now is really trying to undertake some efforts that will provide some very concrete examples and incentives for businesses to either expand or to bring new jobs here. So that leads me to the transition, and some people might have read in the paper this week that the council adopted the mayor's proposal to have a 3-member committee who will interview applicants in a very public process to decide who they want to appoint to fill my seat in District 5. And Dave Gear, Councilmember Dave Gear, is one of the members of that committee, as are Councilmember Brad Hahn and Councilman Joe Muratori. And I believe that will be a very strong committee to interview applicants, to take applications. There are some wonderful people who are seeking that position, and I think you guys will be served well. My only interest is that they find someone who's a critical thinker, who will do their homework, who will study the issues, and who will build relationships in the community in order to make wise decisions. So we'll see how that moves forward, and on November 9th, the City Council will appoint that person to serve for 1 year. In November of 2011, an election will be held, and whoever wants to hold that position for the following 2 years would have to go to the ballot and be voted on by all the voters in District 5, which is basically central to North Modesto. So that's how that's going to work. And then lastly, I'll talk a little bit about Assembly, and then I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Many people ask, why did I decide to run for State Assembly? And have you lost your mind? And people think it's just the craziest thing I've ever done. But I really felt called to do so. I worked there in the late 1990s for Senator Tim Wesley, and the difference I've seen between then and now, partisan politics have always existed and always will. We will always have Democrats and Republicans and people on polar opposite sides of the aisle. But the difference when I was there is we didn't have so much partisanship for partisanship's sake. People actually tried to work together. Senator Wesley, who I worked for, was a conservative Republican, and one of his great friends, who we disagreed with on most policies, but one of his good friends was John Vasconcellos, a liberal Democrat from the Bay Area. You'd see them walk through the halls together, have lunches together. They would try to co-author some policies that just made sense for people, regardless of whether you're a Republican or Democrat. And I think we've lost that art to some extent in Sacramento. And I think the people who pay the price of that are those of us, just average citizens who live in California and want to see a better state, a better place where we can raise our kids and we can have successful businesses. So that's really was the largest motivating factor for me to go up there, because while I have strong convictions, I believe I also have the personality and the experience to build relationships across a wide array of perspectives. And I think we just need to bring common sense and leadership back to Sacramento in order to turn it around. Having said that, I'm not fooling myself. It's going to be no easy chore. But if you've worked at C.C. Stanislaus for very long, Sacramento will be a walk in the park.